Shalom and good morning. Today we're reading 1 Samuel chapter 5. And the Pelishites took the ark of Yahu'ah and brought it from Abon Hazar to Ashdod. And the Pelishites took the ark of Yahu'ah and brought it into the house of Dagon and put it by Dagon. And the Ashdodites rose early in the morning and saw Dagon fallen on its face to the ground before the ark of Yahu'ah. So they took Dagon and put it in its place again. And they rose early the next morning and saw Dagon fallen on its face to the ground before the ark of Yahu'ah. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of its hands cut off. On the threshold only Dagon itself was left of it. That is why to this day the priests of Dagon and all who come into Dagon's house do not tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod. But the hand of Yahu'ah was heavy on the Ashdodites, and he wasted them and smote them with tumors, Ashdod and its borders. And when the men of Ashdod saw this, they said, "Let not the ark of the Yahu'ah of Yisrael remain with us, for his hand has been hard on us and on Dagon our mighty one." Then they sent and gathered to them all the princes of the Pelishites and said, "What do we do with the ark of Yahu'ah of Yisrael?" And they answered, "Let the ark of Yahu'ah of Yisrael be removed to Gath." And they removed the ark of the Yahu'ah of Yisrael. And it came to be, after they removed it, that the hand of Yahu'ah was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city from the least to the greatest, and the tumors broke out on them. They then sent the ark of Yahu'ah to Ekron, and it came to be, as the ark of Yahu'ah came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, "They have removed the ark of Yahu'ah of Yisrael to us to kill us and all our people." And they sent and gathered together all the princes of the Pelishites and said, "Send away the ark of Yahu'ah of Yisrael and let it return to its own place, so that it does not kill us and our people. For there had come a deadly destruction throughout all the city, and the hand of Yahu'ah was very heavy there. And the men who did not die were smitten with tumors, and the cry of the city went up to the Shemaim." Chapter 6. And the ark of Yahu'ah was in the field of the Pelishites for 7 months. And the Pelishites called for the priest and the diviners, saying, "What do we do with the ark of Yahu'ah? Let us know what we should do, what we should send to its place." And they said, "If you send away the ark of Yahu'ah of Yisrael, do not send it empty, but you shall certainly return it to him with a guilt offering. Then you are going to be healed. And it shall be known to you why his hand does not turn aside from you." And they said, "What is the guilt offering which we return to him?" And they answered, "The number of the princes of the Pelishites, 5 golden tumors and 5 golden rats. For the same plague was on all of you and on your princes. And you shall make images of your tumors and images of your rats that ruin the land. And you shall give esteem to the Yahu'ah of Yisrael. It could be that he lifts his hand from you, from your mighty ones, and from your land. And why do you harden your hearts as the Mistrites and the Pharaoh hardened their hearts? When he had severely dealt with them, did they not send them away, and they went? And now take and make a new wagon, and 2 milk cows which have never been yoked, and hitch the cows to the wagon, and take their calves home away from them. And take the ark of Yahuwah, and put it on the wagon, and put the objects of gold which you are returning to him as a guilt offering in a chest by its side, and send it away, and it shall go. And you shall see if it goes up the way to its own border, to Beth Shemesh. Then he has done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that his hand has not come against us, and an accident it was to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milk cows, and hitched them to the wagon, and shut up their calves at home. And they put the ark of Yahuwah on the wagon, and the chest with the gold rats and the images of their tumors. And the cows went straight for the way to Beth Shemesh, and went along the highway, bellowing as they went. It did not turn aside right or left. And the princes of the Pelashites went after them to the border of Beth Shemesh. And Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the wagon came into the field of Yahusha of Beth Shemesh, and stood there. And there was a great stone, so they split the wood of the wagon, and offered the cows as a burnt offering to Yahuwah. And the Levites took down the ark of Yahuwah, and the chest that was with it, in which were the objects of gold, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Beth Shemesh slaughtered burnt offerings, and made offerings the same day to Yahuwah. And when the 5 princes of the Pelashites saw it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the gold tumors which the Pelashites returned as a guilt offering to Yahuwah: 1 for Ashdod, 1 for Azah, 1 for Elishokon, 1 for Gath, and 1 for Ekron. And the gold rats by the number of all the cities of the Pelashites belonging to the 5 princes, both walled cities and country villages, even as far as the great meadow on which they placed the ark of Yahuwah, are to this day in the field of Yahusha of Beth Shemesh. And he smote among the men of Beth Shemesh, for they had looked into the ark of Yahuwah. He smote among the people 70 men. And the people mourned, because Yahuwah smote among the people a great smiting. And the men of Beth Shemesh said, Who is able to stand before this Kedash Yahuwah Eluah? And to whom shall he go from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirath Yearim, saying, The Pelashites have brought back the ark of Yahuwah. Come down to take it up to you. Chapter 7. And the men of Kirath Yearim came and took the ark of Yahuwah, and brought it into the house of Abinadab on the hill, and Kedash Eleazar his son to guard the ark of Yahuwah. And it came to be, from the day that the ark remained in Kirath Yearim, that the time increased. It came to be 20 years, and all the houses of Yisrael lamented after Yahuwah. And Samuel spoke to all the house of Yisrael, saying, If you return to Yahuwah with your hearts, then put away the foreign mighty ones and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts for Yahuwah, and serve him only, so that he delivers you from the hand of the Pelashites. And the children of Yisrael put away the Baals and Ashtaroth, and served Yahuwah only. And Samuel said, Gather all Yisrael to Mishpah, and let me pray to Yahuwah for you. And they gathered to Mishpah, and drew water, and poured it out before Yahuwah. And they fasted that day, and said there, We have sinned against Yahu'ah, and Shamuel rightly ruled the children of Yashrael at Mishpah. And when the Philistines heard of the children of Yashrael had gathered together at Mishpah, the prince of the Philistines went up against Yashrael. And the children of Yashrael heard of it, and were afraid of the Philistines. And the children of Yashrael said to Shamuel, "Do not cease to cry out to Yahu'ah our Elohim for us, that he would save us from the hand of the Philistines." And Shamuel took a suckling lamb and offered as a burnt offering completely to Yahu'ah. And Shamuel cried out to Yahu'ah for Yashrael, and Yahu'ah answered him. And it came to be, as Shamuel offered up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Yashrael. But Yahu'ah thundered with a great noise on that day on the Philistines, and troubled them, and they were smitten before Yashrael. And the men of Yashrael went out from Mizpah, and pursued the Philistines, and smote them as below Baeth Kar. And Samuel took a stone and put it up between Mishpah and Shen, and called its name Eban Hazer, saying, "Thus far Yahu'ah has helped us." Thus the Philistines were humbled, and no longer came into the border of Yashrael. And the hand of Yahu'ah was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Yashrael returned to Yashrael, from Ekron to Gath, and Yashrael recovered its border from the hands of the Philistines. And there was peace between Yashrael and the Amorites. And Shamuel rightly ruled Yashrael all the days of his life. In each year he made the rounds of Beth El and Gilead and Mizpah, and rightly ruled Yashrael in all those places. Then he returned to Ramah, for his home was there. And there he rightly ruled Yashrael, and there he built an altar to Yahu'ah. Chapter 8. And it came to be, when Shamuel was old, that he made his sons rulers over Yashrael. And the name of his firstborn was Yoel, and the name of his second, Abiah. Rulers in Beersheba. And his sons did not walk in their ways, and turned aside after own gain, and took bribes, and twisted right ruling. And all the elders of Yashrael gathered together, and came to Shamuel at Ramah, and said to him, "Look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a sovereign to rule us like all the nations." But the word was evil in the eyes of Shamuel, when they said, "Give us a sovereign to rule us." So Shamuel prayed to Yahu'ah. And Yahu'ah said to Shamuel, "Listen to the voice of the people in all that they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from reigning over them, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Mishraim, even to this day, forsaking me and serving other mighty ones. So they are doing to you too. Now listen to their voice, but you shall certainly warn them, and shall make known to them the ruling of the sovereign who reigns over them." And Shamuel spoke all the words of Yahu'ah to the people, and who asked him for a sovereign, and said, "This is the ruling of the sovereign who reigns over you. He shall take your sons and appoint them for his own chariots, and to be his horsemen, and they shall run before his chariots, and appoint commanders over his thousands and commanders over his 50s, and to plow his ground, to reap his harvest, or to make his weapons and equipment for his chariots. And your daughters he is going to take to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. And the best of your fields, in your vineyards, in your olive trees, he is going to take and give them to his servants. And a tenth of your grain in your vintage, he is going to take and give it to his officers and servants. And your male servants and your female servants, and your best young men and your donkeys, he is going to take and use for his own work. A tenth of your sheep he is going to take, and you are to be his servants. And you shall cry out in that day because your sovereign whom you have chosen for yourselves, but Yahu'ah is not going to answer you in that day. However, the people refused to listen to the voice of Shamuel and said, No, but let a sovereign be over us. Then we shall be, we also like all the nations, and our sovereign shall rule us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Shamuel heard all the words of the people, and he repeated them in the hearing of Yahu'ah. And Yahu'ah said to Shamuel, Listen to their voice, and make them a sovereign. And Shamuel said to the men of Yashel, Each of you go to his city.